Hi, beautiful people. This is your girl, Claudia, back on your screen after a very long time, because I think the last time that I posted a video was at the beginning of the month of March. But man, so many things has been going on in school and personal things to do that I didn't necessarily get the chance to post since. But I am here and I am back with beautiful things to share. Today is a very particular video because actually I had already filmed this video, and I even told my Instagram people and stuff that I already filmed and that this video was about to come out in few days and everything. But there were so many gaps in the previous video that I filmed, and I realized that this mic wasn't working while I was filming. So the noise around and everything, it was just bad. I kind of tried to edit the video, but no, it was just so bad. The noise that was inside, I just couldn't make it disappear. So I just said, you know what, just film a new video, it's just fine. And I have my new hair on, so I look more beautiful than the previous one. So I was like, okay, let me do this video now that my hair is done. So here I am today, and I am so glad. Thank you for joining this video. And before we get into it, make sure you already share it with your world. Make people come and subscribe, because we have beautiful stuff to do in here. It's a very particular video indeed. And like few weeks ago, I actually put on a poll on my Instagram because I really wanted to make a testimonial video, and I put this poll on my Instagram asking the people to choose between two subjects. And the first subject was my salvation, like how I got to know Christ and everything. And the second subject that I put on was how did depression drew me closer to God. And like 80% of the people that saw this poll wanted me to share on how depression drew me closer to God. And I think I do understand it, because we are many in this generation, in my generation, of young people, let it be in ministry or young Christians, that are just experiencing depression in the midst of already knowing the Lord. And this is what I am going to share, and how this particular time actually helped me to know God better and to experience Him at another level, just at another level, another dimension. So this is what I'm going to share today. It is quite personal, and I think it's going to help somebody, encourage somebody that might be going through such a time and such a season. And I actually really wanted to share about it. And what triggered me about this subject was when I was listening In the Room by Tasha Cobbs and Naomi Rain, and there is this part in the song where she shares about already being a minister of God, already being serving and seeing people being delivered and everything, testimonies coming. But once she was getting home, she was just like deep into depression and anxiety, and just this imposter syndrome, and the devil was telling her that, you know what, you're doing all this, and if something happened to you today, they will find another Tasha. So you're not as exceptional as you think it is. You're not as useful as you think you are. You see, you are experiencing depression, but you are serving this God and everything. And it actually spoke to me because I can relate to this testimony in it. So yeah, let's get into it. Everything started in 2021. Yeah. I was just it was just the end of the end of the pandemic, if we can say it like that, because in 2020 I had already started with varsity, but I was staying at res, so at the residence of the school. But with the pandemic during the year 2020, I had to they asked us to move out of the residence, at the time of the pandemic and stuff. So I was obliged to stay at some of my friends' places during this particular time. So when things started stabilizing with the condition of the COVID and stuff, I was like, it's just better for me to find a place for myself, because this thing of staying at this person and this person, I wasn't feeling comfortable, and I had kind of a little bit of frictions with some people. So I was just like, you know what, God, and you know what, my parents, I need to find a place. I need to find a place for myself. And I said, you know what, God, because it's not easy normally to find places in South Africa where you don't have, residences, papers, and everything. And by the grace of God, by the end of December 2020, I managed to find a place that my mom back home signed the lease for me. Normally, it's people in the country that need to sign the lease for you and everything, but they accepted. I made them understand that I am here to study, so I just need a place and everything. So my mom sent a document and she signed the lease for me, and beginning January, I moved in my apartment, and I was now staying on my own. And I was very much excited about this new journey of, having a place for myself, being alone, in my bigger era, having the keys to my place, doing my groceries and everything. I was super, super excited about it. But I didn't know what was waiting for me throughout the year. So I moved out in my place, and it was now time to start with school. So in 2020, I started with my pre-degree in science, but in 2021, I now started with the degree that I wanted to study, which is biomedical science. So it was my first year of biomedical science. So I started very excited, very motivated, ready to push through, ready to to kill it and everything. And everything started well. I started a year pretty well. And stuff. And then by May, I think, the end of April, May 2021, I fell sick. And at the beginning, it seems like it's nothing that is alarming. The first time that I saw that there was something wrong with my body and everything, because I was feeling pain all over my face. The pain was just located on my jaw and everything. I found a ball on my jaw, and at the beginning it wasn't hurting, and then when it started hurting and giving me headaches and everything, I decided to go to a clinic. And when I went there, the doctor was like, no, it's not something very alarming, it's not that deep and everything. So she just prescribed me medications to take, and she was like, in less than a week you will be fine. I was like, okay, that's perfect. And I was preparing for exams, I think, by the time. And what happened is that in less than a week, nothing happened. On the contrary, my face started swelling, especially my cheek, my right cheek started swelling and everything. And I was in the middle of studying, preparing for my exams and everything, and I was just so disturbed. I couldn't sleep properly. I was taking, medication for headache and all this, but it was just very bad. And having my guardian here, where is my spiritual father, I let him know that, you know what, Dad, I am really feeling some type of ways, and it's getting worse. It's really getting worse, and I think I need to go to the hospital and stuff. And as I was staying alone in my place in Midrand, he called my sisters from church that were living in Midrand as well, so that they may take me to the hospital, to an actual hospital, instead of just going to clinics and stuff. And the first day we went to the hospital, they checked a few things, but they were like, okay, come back tomorrow or something like that, so that you can see the doctor that is specialized in what you have and everything. So the next day we went to the doctor, and once I got there and I explained to him like the symptoms that I had and everything, he was like, you are not getting back home. You're not getting back home because what you have need a surgery. We need to remove, because my face was actually very much swollen at this point. And he was like, this is not a matter of giving you medications for it to decrease. You need a surgery. We need to drain it. We need to take it all out. And I was like, okay. Because I wasn't ready for something like that. I wasn't ready to fall sick to a point of needing a surgery, And I am not normally someone that falls sick in normal times. So I was just so I don't know how to express it, but I was like, what's going on, that I am sick now, and there is no need of just giving me a medication, and I need a surgery. Like I was so afraid at this point. But then I was like, okay, this is a health matter, and if the doctor says that I need a surgery, it means I need a surgery. So let's just do it. Let's just do it. Finances comes in, because it is not for free. And I actually went to a private hospital, and my assurance at the time wasn't covering such interventions. I could pay medication and everything, but private hospital, private doctors, no, they weren't covering it. So I needed to pay directly for my surgery. So I had to call my parents back home. They knew at the beginning that there was something going on with my health, but they weren't expecting it to be that deep. So I come out of my rendezvous with the doctor, and I call my parents that, you know what, I just came out of the doctor's office, and this is what the doctor is saying, and I need a surgery, and it cost this amount. And they are shocked, because like nobody is ready for such a thing. My parents weren't ready financially to spend that much money for a surgery, And then they were like, okay. They were panicked. They weren't like, okay. They were panicked. But my father was like, okay, we will look for it and everything. Is it urgent? I was like, yes, it's urgent. So they were really panicking. But then as I said, I was with my sisters from church, and one of her was like, you know what, I have the amount on me right now. I can pay for it, as it's a health matter. We can't wait for the parent back home to find the money and then send it here. Days may pass. Why you need this? You're not feeling well. So let me just do it. I will pay for it. You will go through the surgery as it needed, and when the parents will be ready with the money, you will just give it back to me. I was like, praise God. This was my miracle. This really was my miracle. So she paid for my surgery, a very huge amount. She paid for it. And yeah, I had to go through the surgery. By the grace of God, everything happens. Everything went well. By God's grace, I came out safe and sound and everything. I spent a few days at the hospital, maybe three to 4 days at the hospital after my surgery. And then this same sister like accepted to just take care of me, the time for me to recuperate, to feel a little bit better. So she brought me to a place, and I stayed there for, I think, a week, just the time for me to to rest and everything. As I had a wound here, as you can see, I have a scar here. So I had this wound that I needed to clean every day. Like it was taking, I had something here that was absorbing blood, so I had to remove it, clean, put it back for a week, and then I had a cover and everything. So I stayed at a place for almost a week, but then I had to go back to my place because school was going on. I had missed my last exam. I had missed my last exam and everything, so I had to go back home because I needed to continue with my life. School was going on. I needed to continue. So I went back to my place, and this is where trouble started. I won't say that trouble started with my surgery because everything went well by then, but trouble started after my surgery because finances were in the count. I had, in the midst of all this, I had to pay for my school fees, and I am in a private university here in South Africa. So I had to pay for my school fees. My parent needed to reimburse my sister for my surgery, and the bills of the hospital also came because, remember, I paid the doctor for the surgery, but I stayed at the hospital for 4 days. There were bills, and they came in. I actually didn't know at first. Then after they explained to me and stuff, it was just a lot that we found ourselves at a certain point financially stuck. We found ourselves financially overwhelmed, and as if it wasn't enough, 1 or 2 months after my surgery, my parents decided to go separate ways after almost 17 years of marriage, for very noble reasons, but it really affected me to a certain extent because I left home with my parents together. I've seen my parents have conflict, but I've never seen them being separated. It's like, I don't know what it is to have divorced parent. I had friends that had their parents divorced, and I was like, I couldn't relate to it. But now it happened to me that my parents decided to go separate ways. But I had to I had to stay very strong in the midst of all this and continue to push with my studies. It was very much overwhelming because it wasn't as well a easy separation, families and everything. People were calling me back home to speak to them and whatever. And being the first child in the midst of something like that, it's not easy. At the time, my studies was the thing that was keeping my mind sane. Staying alone, living alone, actually, like you go to school and come to yourself every single day and face your realities, face the fact that financially it's very bad, and that there is this issue with your parents that just doesn't make things easier. Because when my parents got separated, like, my mom knew kind of everything concerning my school, like how to pay, what is the actual amount to pay, and everything. She had more clue about what's going on with me at school than my dad did, But as he was the one paying, giving the money, but my mom not being present, it was just a mess. It was just a mess that I ended the year with a school debt. And I end the year like this: school debt, my parents separated, and depression knocking at my door, if I can say it like that. And holidays came, and I tryna have a fun, December. I think that was the year I spent Christmas with my guardian. Yeah, I think if not with my guardian, it was the year I spent Christmas with my friends. So I spent Christmas with them and everything. Like, we had a fun holiday. And then 2022, like, life needs to continue and everything. So I have to start with my second year, but as I said, I had a school debt at the time and tried to push to finish paying for it. Didn't work, especially with the issues with my parents. Didn't work, and yeah, just so many things happen in between that I can't necessarily mention here because these are family issues. But yeah, I just wasn't I just couldn't be helped by the time. So which led me to not going to school for the year 2022. And I was just so heartbroken because, as I said, school was the thing that was keeping me sane. And I had to change cameras. I hope it will still look good because my other phone is burning because of the sun. But where was I? I am the kind of person that really, how can I explain it? My studies are, c'est mon moyen d'échappatoire, si je peux dire ça comme ça. Yeah, my studies, mes études, c'est vraiment mon moyen d'échappatoire. It's the thing that I always felt that I was really good at. And people will be like, but you sing, you have a beautiful voice, and you're doing this and you're doing that. But by that time, I was really feeling like my studies was the thing that was making me feel worth it. It was the thing that was making me feel worth it at the time. So not being able to go to school during that year at the beginning really broke my heart. Like, I was feeling Like, I actually came to South Africa to study, so what is it that I'm not studying and everything? Like, I can't do the thing that I like and all that. But then I had to accept it in a way. I had to accept it to see other people, to see my friends going to school and everything, and me staying literally at home all day, not doing much. And I also still had sequels of my surgery by the time, so I could wake up with pain, just feeling uncomfortable, my face, I couldn't move my hands because during my surgery I had so many injections, on my hands and stuff. So many injections, and like my veins tends to be very stretched, that I couldn't do this, that I couldn't hold a cup of coffee during that time. So I was messed up. And this is where depression came in. And being a Christian already, I had a relationship with the Lord because I accepted Christ at a very young age. So I had journeyed with God till this time. But let's say, like, the way I know God today wasn't the same way that I knew God that time. I had a routine, I had a prayer life, I was already serving at church, I had understanding of spiritual things, but there was just a dimension of God that I've never discovered before this time happened. So depression started kicking in, and I was spending my days in bed, scrolling on social media, whatever, and stuff, and there were just thoughts in my mind like, your life is ridiculous, I was just like, your life is ridiculous. Like, what are you even doing? Why are you even here? I even wanted to go back home, I was like, what am I doing here? I was questioning my life. I was questioning my future, questioning my destiny, questioning God's promises over me and all this stuff. I was questioning God, like, what is it that all this is happening to me? And it just, a sequence of event back to back, and at that time finances were still very bad. And I had days that I didn't have food to eat, sleeping in the dark because I don't have money to pay electricity. I was paying my bills late, my rent late, and I was just feeling like God, as if he fell my hand. Like, he really did fail my hand. But then the Lord, I will kind of bring it to the main thing, which is like this step of drawing closer to God. So by that time, the Lord spoke to me like, you are just complaining about what is happening to you at this time, but you are not trying to understand what is it that I want to do with you in this time. Can't you just try to embrace this moment and just get to know me more? And I was like, embrace? Which moment should I embrace? Because for me, if I had to embrace a moment, it should be like something joyful, something, like the Lord is moving in my life and everything. But you are asking me to embrace pain. You're asking me to embrace a time of not having enough, a time of lack. You are asking me to embrace it and to draw closer to you. And when the Lord spoke to me like that, I was like, you want to use me? Like, you want to use me? Because you just want me to be there and to do things for you, and the things that I am trusting you for, that I'm crying and praying for, you are not stepping into them. Because mind you, in this time, I started being demanded at church, because I am in a choir, and many of the choir members at that time found jobs and everything. So the people that usually led services were really busy. So at the time they could just back up, but in terms of leading services, it wasn't it, because they were really overwhelmed by work and personal stuff. And I was the one that was available at this time. So back to the camera. Filming this video, the enemy is gingered, but let's do it. By the time I started being appointed to lead services now and then, like most of the time now, I was the one having to lead the service in praise and worship and stuff. And preparing a service, like, it takes time in prayer, in the word, and all this. And this is how God brought me. Because at a certain point, I stopped preparing for the service, and I started seeking God in the whole this much amount of time that I now had. So it wasn't praying for the service anymore, like, God, anoint me for this coming service, praying for all the service going to go, and everything. And it started being a relationship that I created with God. So this is how God actually fetched me, by using ministry to bring me to a place of fellowship. So I was now seeking God for myself. And at that time I was like, you know what? I spoke to God clearly. Like, I am going through this time. I'm going through this season. And you have asked me to embrace it and to take it as an opportunity to draw closer to you. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to serve. I'm going to be present at church. I'm going to be serving you with all that I can. With my time, I will make myself available to you. I won't be praying anymore for what is going on in my life at the time. I just pray that you may take care of it without me having to worry about it. I will serve you, but please take care of these things that bother me. So I started investing my time in prayer, investing my time in the reading of the word, and I started discovering gifts that the Lord has deposited in the inside of me, like other gifts. And I also started exploring what the Lord could do through my singing. The time that I started spending in God's presence for myself started reflecting on my ministrations. It was now a daily thing for me to spend time in the presence of God, and it started reflecting on my service, and people started testifying of the move of God during my ministrations. The Lord really started moving in me and moving through me. I started getting invitations to minister outside of my church, outside of the country even, but it was online things. But I was getting invitations to minister outside, because I will say the fragrance of the secret place that was now transcribing on my gift was going outside. But mind you, I was still struggling at home. And I was going to ministration and getting back home to no food. I was going out sapé comme jaja every Sunday. Every Sunday, sapé comme jaja. But getting home to no food, to no electricity, during a period of time. And then the Lord started showing up. When it comes to my depression, it was very much at the beginning, But when the Lord spoke to me, I started beating it. Like, I won't say that even during the time I was praying and stuff, everything was just fine. No, I had dark days, but the foundation that I had built with God and the fact that I had accepted to embrace this time always brought me back on my feet. It always brought me back on my feet. It was hard going to administration, blessing people with your gift, but trusting God for your own, blessing others with your gift. You will see people giving testimonies that during while you were worshiping, this happened. But being at a level where what I'm trusting God to do is not happening. But still, I had to continue doing what I was doing, because I couldn't. I was already there. Where was I supposed to go? I was already there. I had already accepted to be spent by God. So there was no turning back. There was no turning back. And then finally, the Lord heard my cry. And He started helping me. There were days I wouldn't have food, and I would just receive a call from somebody like, "Oh, Wilma, how are you?" and everything. "Oh, I will take you out today." "Oh, I just thought about you. I will send you some money. You can do whatever you want." "Oh, I was thinking about you. Like, I will send groceries to you." And the Lord started helping me like this. And I started being so dependent on the Lord. This time of my life brought me not only closer to Him, like I experienced his glory. I had beautiful experiences with the Lord. Oh my God. During that time, I was introduced to another facet of God, where I could hear Him, I could see Him moving, I could feel His presence like I've never felt these things before. Like I was seeing things, experiencing things that I've never experienced before. I had beautiful experiences with the Lord that time. But it also brought me to a point of not depending on me, not depending on my parents, not depending on what they do, what they would do for me, what they would not do. I was trusting God for everything. Every single thing that was concerning me, I was trusting God for it. I was trusting God for every single thing. I believe if I hadn't gone through this time, if I hadn't gone through this process of being broken deep inside, I wouldn't know God the way that I know Him, and I wouldn't feel related to Him the way that I feel related to Him now. Through my journey with the Lord, I always considered God as my Father, as my friend. But there was a level of friendship and fatherhood that I had before, that just amplified after this time. So this is how the Lord brought me closer to Him. I discovered other gifts, painting, like that I really had these artistic things that I could speak like I speak right now. That I could do this before. I couldn't imagine that I could open a YouTube, that I could speak to people, that I could be seated with people and speak about Jesus and speak about my experiences and strengthen people in their faith, being seated with people that I used to admire on TV, speak with them, exchange with them, being in this ministry things, being so involved in this ministry things. I couldn't imagine that the Lord would use me this way, or the Lord would have such plans for me, that I am in this journey now pursuing the fulfillment of His words. I had to go through it to understand the mind of God for me. It was my break. It really was the break that I needed in my spiritual life to move to another level, and for God to also use me at that level and to open those doors for me and to make things happen for me. After this time passed, I went back to school. After this time where I experienced God at another level, I went back to school. So it just needed me. And the things that happened during that time, I realized that if I was going to school during that time, I would have failed, because I was busy. I was really busy. Church and outside ministration was getting me busy, and my gifts that I was training was getting me busy, And I understood that if I was going to school, I would have failed, because there was just many things going on. This is how the Lord drew me closer. He drew me closer through the use of depression, through the use of lack, through the use of family's issues. And I understood deep things of my family. I started praying for my destiny, for who God has called me to be and what God has called me to do. I started really considering the fact that I am not just Wilma that is doing well at school and has a beautiful voice. I am more than that, and there is more that the Lord wants to do with me. And I started praying for it, investing time in it, building capacities for that which was upon my life, because there is a path. There is just this time in life, like you just feel like I'm doing my things, I'm doing my life, I'm going out, I have friends, and that's it. I'm going to school or I'm going to work, and that's it for life. But God has purpose for you, just as He spoke to Jeremiah that before I knew you, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you, and I had plans to prosper you, to give you hope and a future. And it's not hope and a future, it's not you doing your life as a normal person. No, it's for you to fulfill destiny, for you to bring kingdom on earth. And I understood all this through this period, and today I can say I am blessed to have gone through what I went through. And once I also step into that level, bigger issues came my way, bigger challenges, but the foundation that I already had with the Lord just strengthened me for what was ahead and what is still ahead of me in this journey of life and in this journey of fulfilling destiny. So I really want to encourage somebody that your pain is not in vain. What you are going through in this time, what you are going through in this season, it is not in vain. There is something that the Lord wants to do, and you just need to be available to embrace that which the Lord wants to do. You really need to just make yourself available for it. It's hard, it's painful, it breaks. Yeah, it does. It pains, but the Lord wants to use this to draw you closer to Him, that in Him you may discover Him. You may discover yourself, you may discover Him to another level, and you may discover yourself and what you have been called to be and what you have been called to do. So pain is not to destroy you, and just as Tasha sings it, like gracefully broken. Like it doesn't break me to just to hurt me. No, it does it with grace, because there is something that is attached. There is prophecy over you. There is prophecy over you that needs to be fulfilled, and you had to be on the battlefield. You had to go through a process, because it won't just happen. What you are going through, it gives you weapons for what God has called you to do. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. You might be going through depression in this time. You might be going through very tough times, difficult times in your personal life, family, work, asking yourself about your future and everything. But who is better than God to tell you what your next step will be? I hope this story will encourage you. I tried to make it very short, sparing some details, maybe important, but I think the important message is that the Lord, even in the midst of your pain, wants you, needs you. There is something that He wants to do with you, and you just need to embrace that time and respond to His call. Respond to His call, and He will strengthen you, and you will realize that you are going through difficult times. It's as if nothing is happening, because the peace that surpasses all understanding will abide in you. So be encouraged. The Lord is with you. The Lord is backing you up. He won't leave you alone. He won't abandon you. He is right there, and He knows what He's doing with you, and He knows where He's taking you. This was my story, and I hope it blessed you today, and I hope it will strengthen you today. And I just can't wait to share more of these experiences that I have with the Lord, that I had with the Lord, and that it may strengthen you, that it may encourage you in your faith. We need it. We're going through so much. We need it. So this was it for me today, and I really pray that you enjoyed this video, and we will see each other next time on the next video, indeed. So God bless you and God keep you. I love you all, and see you on the next video. Bye.